What's going on, Reflections? This gonna be a good one right here. I might want to share this video. I want to make sure I'm clear, so I'm gonna put my headphones on. I always forget to put the headphones in before I go in, but I'm gonna do this video because it needs to be done. Things that need to be said. And I figured I'd put it out there for those who seek divine truth and wisdom and understanding and knowledge of self. I'm going to do this video right now for you because a lot of people are here to take away the divine truth from you. And I just want to make sure that I, on my platform, put the truth out there. So therefore, if you want to believe a lie, you go ahead and believe it. But I'm going to put the truth here for you today. And we're going to go in. If you hear Osiris in the background, he out there having fun. What I'm going to decipher this. What is the Medu Neter? The Medu Neter. We hear this all the time. It's coming out. And I want to, God, use me. Speak to me. Speak to me. Speak to me right now. The Medu Neter is the language of the gods, which translate in normal language, the language of nature, which translate to be mathematically the language of the universe. Now, God is nature. Nature, universe. Synonymous. All of these things are the same, and never forget that. When you hear God, always relate it back to nature and always relate nature to the universe. Always do this way no one can trick you. It's very simple. People try to complicate it. It's very, very simple. That is God. You are God. You are part of God. That is God. And the Medu Neter is the language of gods, of the gods, what they call the gods, because we had the elements were the gods. The elements was the gods, and there was a language called the Medu Neter, which was the language of the gods, which was nature. That's why it's called the Medu Neter. And they never took away nature and separated from God, because God was nature. I'm going to show you that today. I'm going to show you that today, Reflections. So when you hear the crap go on today talking about the things that they talk about today, I want to break it down to you. God is the controlling creative force of the universe, which is nature. Neter. The Medu Neter is the language of nature. Very simple. Very simple. It is the language of nature. Do you speak nature? I don't know. First, let me break it down to you like this. I don't got a little high technology. I don't feel like going through it. So I'm going to just give it to you raw. The word language means the method of human communication, either through spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured or conventional way. The system of communication used in a particular community or country. So the Egyptians were so in tune with nature that they made their own language from expressing it. But today I'm going to show you something. When we say we're going to decipher, what does this mean? To decipher something is to convert a text written in code, like the Bible, decipher, into normal language. The normal language of today is English. We are a system that's communicating using a particular language, the human communication. We're using English. Now, I had a conversation with a brother. Won't display his name because I don't want to make this seem like a debate. It's not sparked me to do this video. That's it. Intellectual spar, fight we had. And it sparked me to do this video on the meta-nature because they complicate it. We complicate something that's so fucking simple. The meta-nature is the Egyptians' version of science. That's it. That's it. Simple as that. And don't let nobody complicate this to you. This is me deciphering it, making it decipher. It's to take something that's coded and bring it into normal language. The language of the day is English. Here's the normal language that you speak. Something that's very simple. People will complicate something very, very simple. They observe nature, seen nature through its most high eyes. I do not know why we take Egyptians and make Egyptians they did everything right. Oh, the Egyptians did everything right. The Egyptians were black and they did everything right because they had pyramids and they failed. The Egyptians failed. That's why their society was destroyed. Nature destroyed them because they got out of tune with what they knew. And we are the derivative of this. The Egyptians failed. Do you hear me? Because they went into their lower selves. Listen to me very clear. Do you hear me? Nobody wants to hear that. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because black people, melanated people as a whole, okay, have this collective consciousness of a pride that stems from a deep insecurity from being inferior of their lower selves. Let me repeat that and let me decipher that. Black people have an inferior insecurity complex. And so anything they see black people on that they did was great, they want to go grab it. And listen, if you truly knew who you was, then you knew you have no enemy, that the Caucasian or any other race that you call races are derivatives of you. And that you are it and it is you and you are great and you don't need to bring anybody else down to understand and bring yourself up. But we have this inferior complex where we have to be like, yeah, we were the Egyptians. We were empowered and the Egyptians were fucking corrupt as fuck. And what you're experiencing today in Babylon is the same thing that happened in Egypt. It's the same spirit. Do you think when you look at Egypt and you see these paper brown beings, that was the original color or the skin color of those beings? No, those beings had hybrided into that. The original Egyptians were the natives. The natives were black as night. And when in the jungles. But what you see depicted is this brown, sandy brown. But it doesn't matter because black people have a complex and now we're coming out of slavery. So we want to tear everybody down and bring us back up. And that spirit must die right now before it before we get up into a high horse again and do the same shit that we did to fall. It's the same thing that we're building up this pride, this inferior, this spirit that is in black people to say, oh, we're kings and we're queens and put the Hotep shit on and the Ankh and all this shit. And you don't know what the fuck it means. You don't know the language of the universe because you haven't studied science of today. We have yet to even get into epigenetics and biology, let alone talking about some fucking meta nature of that ancient day. How the hell can we even start talking about the language of the universe? Oh, I forgot. We don't even recognize science of today. We don't even recognize. Do you know what science is? Let me show you what science is. Now, the word science means the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and the behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. That is what the meta nature is. Did y'all hear that? Science is the meta nature. The meta nature is science. That's it. It is the intellectual and practical. The meta nature was a language that we do speak today. It's just called science today. It is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. So the meta nature of the Egyptian day was the observation and language of the universe, which is science. It's that simple, Reflections. But like I said, black people have a complex. We have a complex where we have to get past mental slavery before we can even tap into anything ancient or anything of substance. Meanwhile, our so-called oppressor is utilizing the meta nature. Is speaking the meta nature. The language ain't always coming out your mouth. Language is actually a way of life. Language is, we got body language. Matter of fact, 85% of all languages are nonverbal. The true language of the universe speaks vibration, frequency, and energy. Do you understand this? Let me make that clear to you. The universe speaks vibration, frequency, and energy. That is the language. That is the meta nature. In order for us to understand frequency, vibration, and energy, we must understand science. We as a people, as far as melanated people, don't even really understand what. Now, oh gosh, I got so much to say to you about this. We don't even really understand the science of today, let alone the science of that day. Okay, we have to first learn the science of today to even start to grasp the science of the ancient times. We haven't even talked about or studied collectively the science of today. Why? Because black people have been stuck, like I said, in a complex, in an inferior, insecure complex that we have called anything that's got a black face on it in ancient times. Oh, that's us. That's who I am. I'm a king. I'm a queen. Yeah. Everybody got Hotep on and the Ankh on it. Oh, yeah. We're doing this. We're doing that. You don't know shit until you study epigenetics. You don't know shit until you study astrology. If you're not studying astrology, epigenetics, all the things that I basically teach, I'm deciphering in all my texts and all my teachings. The reason why I'm hated so bad is because I'm literally deciphering the meta nature, the language of the universe. I'm telling you about the stars and astrology, and go study astrology to understand the language of the universe, to understand how it works, to understand frequency and vibration, you have to understand astrology and epigenetics. We have to understand biology. We haven't, who's talking about biology in the so-called conscious community? Literally, I'm talking about biology. No one is talking about biology. And let me tell you something. The meta-nature is science, period. The intellectual and physical activity encompassing the systematic study and the structure of the behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. That is what the meta-nature is. It was the science of that day. The Egyptians had an observation through experiment, through observating. They had their own sciences of that day. And in order for us to tap into those ancient sciences, we have to first tap into these sciences that we have here today, which are basic sciences that derive from Thoth's sciences. Thoth taught the Egyptians their science. So how are we going to even talk about advancing to the advanced knowledge or sciences of astrology, and we don't even understand biology? Where is the conscious community talking about biology? I want to know. I want to know which one of these conscious so-called brothers are talking about epigenetics. Which one of them are talking about DNA and really breaking down DNA to the people other than me? Nobody is breaking down basic science, because that's what nature is. Science is the study and the observation of the universe, which is nature. And until we're able, but black people have this complex thinking that, we are the gods. We are the gods. No, you're not. You're the slaves. And you always will be the slaves until you first get the fucking sciences of your oppressor first. Because your oppressor is actually studying the true sciences that you are going past. You have to first take the steps and go learn basic science and study basic science. You need to learn the ACTs and Gs first. First things first. Let's go study what DNA is. Do you know what biology is? Go get some, let's get some classes on biology first. I teach this in my classes: biology, astrology, epigenetic. All of these things are imperative to understand nature. You can't understand nature and not understand DNA for real. Like, you have to you can't decipher the meta-nature. And the word decipher means to bring into normal language that we speak today. You can't decipher the meta-nature, which is the language of God, which is basically nature. The meta-nature is nothing but nature. It's just nature. That's what it is. The language of nature. How can you know the language of nature and not understand biology? Biology is the language of nature. DNA is the language of nature. So you have to get these basic sciences down to understand the meta-nature. Even to get to the understanding of the ancients, you have to, and this will take you, these questions will take you on a quest that will have you in nature. In nature. You're going to be looking like your boy, Nature Boy. If you are so-called an ancient, if you are God or goddess, and you're talking about deciphering the meta-nature, you're basically talking about translating nature into English, so that our people that know English, you didn't know English, and people are like, oh, well, you got to speak the meta-nature. What the hell are you talking about? All it was science. It was just the observation of nature. And they brought it into a language that was written at what the Greek call it hieroglyphs. They just were scribbling on the walls what they observed as far as nature. And for us to decipher it is not to go back in the time and read the walls and be like, this is what they meant when they said this. And no. If you want to dissect them, if you want to decipher or dissect the meta-nature, all you got to do is go live one with nature. Tap into your DNA. How do you tap into your DNA? First, you have to understand what DNA is. You have to understand astrology. But it's there already. This is the information age. It's there. You can study astrology. We can study the stars. We can study the elements. We can study, okay, people talk about melanin or carbon or whatever you want to call it, but don't understand what carbon really is within their own being, what it means to be black within their own being. I break that down for you in my classes. I break it down for what does it mean to be black. Black people have a complex to be like, oh, they see somebody great. Oh, yeah, we did this. All started with us. Nah, yeah, everything did started with you, but you ain't mentally there no more. You're not a king. You're not a queen. You're not a god or a goddess. You're a slave until you educate yourself. And most of us don't even have the capacity of light to receive the codes, the divine codes, to you talking about dissecting or deciphering some meta nature. You don't even know what the meta nature is. The meta nature ain't nothing but the sciences of that day that this science today uses to build airplanes. And so an airplane in our day would be some kind of symbol to our understanding of science. Or the car. If our time was to no longer exist and people was to come back and look at the artifacts of cars, people like, oh, this is their language. This is what they spoke. Cars. And look at what they writ on. Look at the statues. Yeah, this is their language. This is what they thought. No, it was an expression of their thoughts from their science of that day. That's what you'd be looking at from our day. You would be looking at that. That's how we used our language to express ourselves. But language is bigger than what the words that are coming out of your mouth. Language is actually life, our expression, art, articulate. That's what we're doing. We're speaking and we're expressing the universe through our actions in words. But we look at the wall and we see these symbols and we're trying to decipher a so-called language that's within our DNA. It's within you already. You don't have to look at no fucking wall because you are the ancestor. You're just vibrating so low that those genetic codes are not already vibrating within yourself. Some people feel like they start speaking a certain a certain tone of a language, that this language is going to make things happen or make yo, this shit is dumb. Do not fall for that, yo. This shit is dumb. Melanated people or the universe, no matter what language it speaks, will turn that language. If you are a high vibrational being, right? No matter what language was given to you, you will make that language a high vibrational language. This is what we've done. We've broken up French. We've broken up Spanish. We've broken up English. We've broken up all the languages. We're not going to call you by your full name if your name is Jamil. Nobody in the hood is going to call you Jamel. We're going to be like, yo, Mel, what up? Because we're going to take the path of the least resistance. And that's what energy at its highest frequency wants to do. It's going to always take the path of least resistance. So we're not going to call you Jamel. That's too many symbols, too many syllables, nigga. We're going to call you Mel or Ja. Yo, Ja, what up? It's going to be one symbol that we're going to call you as high vibrational beings. We're only going to call you one symbol because we're going to take the pathway of least resistance. And that's what energy at its highest frequency does. In nature, all energy moves at the path of least resistance. So black people are called lazy for this, but it's not lazy. It's that we're taking the pathway of least resistance. This is why black people cannot conform and have not been able for years to conform to a system that took us through hoops and bounds to do what was the fastest way to nature, the fastest way of knowledge to self. Melanated people naturally don't want to do shit because guess what? Egyptians said this. The best and shortest route toward knowledge of truth is nature. Nature, there it is. That is the shortest truth towards nature. But let's go back here. What is nature? Science, motherfucker. If you look out into nature, it's an intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior in the physical and natural world. So that is science. Science is the study of nature. So It says right here, the best and shortest road toward knowledge of truth is nature. That's an ancient Egyptian proverb. Science today is the observation of nature. It's experimenting, understanding nature, although we've taken nature and use it against itself because we're vibrating in our lowest form of the universe. That is a fact. Through thought, we are vibrating at our lowest. If we create a plumbing system that goes against and destroys the earth because it puts chlorine and fluoride back in for us to live on this planet, we are using nature against itself. Therefore, we are the universe against itself, and this is evil. Evil is anything that goes against the flow of what we truly are. That is bad. That is wrong. That is wrong. Righteousness and good is things that go along with what is. The flow of the universe, the flow of nature. We must live in harmony with nature first. How I'm going to talk about deciphering the meta nature or speaking the language of the universe and I'm not one with it. Here you are living in Babylon talking about you breaking down the meta nature. How could you talk a language when you don't live upon it? Here we are, butt naked in the jungle, one with the jungle. Right here. I'm out here. I'm naked as I speak to you right now. I sleep in the jungle. I'm in the jungle, close to the sun, in communication with it, with my DNA. My cells are communicating with light codes every day with the sun. I'm not living in a winter season. I'm in the jungle. I'm here communicating with nature so that I can articulate it to you in the most simplest form. I could decipher nature because I'm in communication with it. I eat from it organically. I'm closer to the equator. I'm closer to the sun so I can decipher it. How can you decipher something? Your body is a computer. It's the computer that deciphers nature. And the closer you are to nature, the better you can decipher it. But how could the black people of today and these scholars talk about the meta nature and they ain't even in tune? That's like me talking about I know Spanish but never lived in Spain. Or I never lived in Puerto Rico, but I'm talking about I know Spanish. Or I'm deciphering Spanish. How you going to decipher Spanish and you never lived with the natives that were Spanish? How can you decipher nature and you never lived in tune with nature? How could you say you can decipher nature if you never lived in the jungle, if you never drunk the water pure, if you never had pure sunlight hit your skin and you don't have your hair on your head? How can you say when your body is a computer that deciphers nature? Your body is the meta nature. And your body deciphers nature. If you have carbon, then you're in communication with what is. You're in communication with nature, with the universe. So you have a higher capacity to decipher the true divine understanding of nature. And your body is a computer that is constantly in communication with what is. But yet you live in your lower self that disconnects you from actually the nature. What is the universe? How can you talk about deciphering the meta nature or debating about the meta nature inside of Babylon? Y'all sound stupid. Y'all sound crazy. When your body itself, your naked ass body plugs into the earth, the real deal motherboard, the earth, grounding, do the science of grounding. Do you hear anybody in the black community talk about grounding? This is science of today, that when your body actually touches the ground, you will see Nature Boy got it all over. If you just go to my page, Melanation TV, you're going to see Nature Boy from the very beginning talking about nature, always talking about nature, always talking about us being connected to nature, the science behind nature, biology, microorganisms, DNA, biology, epigenetics. I'm breaking down everything. When you go to my first video, everything you ever need is there for you to decipher the meta nature, the language of gods, of the gods, the language of the elements, the language of the universe. I don't want to hear your stories. I am the one that wrote that. And if I want to really decipher it, I'm going to decipher it through this physical being of mine, which is a computer that connects to the computer external of me, which is me, that once I get in contact with that, I will able to clearly decipher it at its highest frequency because I am vibrating at the frequency of color of the trees. I'm vibrating at the frequency of color of the earth. I am brown. The earth is brown. I can put my hand to the ground and see that I'm brown. I sleep on the ground every night. My cells and my being are computed and in tune and in communication with that. You can't tell me about deciphering no meta nature when I'm living here. You are disrespecting God when you say that, because you can't even start to decipher shit until you put your living being on the earth and give your living being the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of oxygen by being in communication. As far as, let's talk about language. Let's talk about communicating with God. Let's talk about how every time in the Bible, you seen when Moses was communicating with God, he was talking to a bush, or Jesus always went on the mountainside to pray. Let's talk about communicating with God. How can you communicate with God and your body is not connected to the earth, and your body is not breathing in the right amount of oxygen so that your brain waves need to connect with the oxygen levels. This is communication with God. This is the meta nature. Listen very closely. You got to breathe a certain amount of oxygen. That's why your nose is so big, because you need a certain amount of oxygen to actually feed your carbon or melanin or whatever the hell you want to call it, to feed it so that it can understand and know thyself. How you going to know thyself and you disconnected? You all the way in Babylon in the fucking winter season talking about you know yourself. You don't know shit. You don't know a damn thing. Until your ass is butt naked in the jungle, drinking fresh water, growing your own food from the ground, eating from that earth, getting them codes. You ain't gonna know how to meta nature my nothing, nigga. You ain't never gonna be no fucking king. You ain't never gonna be no queen. Did you know that your brain waves are affected, or that your hair has an effect on your brain waves? Because your hair is your seventh chakra, which is your crown chakra. Your hair is energy busting out your head, trying to communicate the language of God. It is trying to communicate with light. And you are a light being, and you need to get closer to the equator so that you can communicate with what you are when you're talking about deciphering the language of the gods. You need to know thyself, and you cannot know thyself until you tap truly. You cannot intellectualize something that is to be felt. And that is my quote. You cannot intellectualize what is to be felt. Feeling is knowing. You could get all the knowledge you want. That knowledge is dormant until you activate it with action. And then when you're out here, by the time you get here, I'll be here. When you reach the frequency of higher self, then you're going to find me. If you're really on the pathway of truth, you're going to find Nature Boy. When you find Nature Boy, you're going to see everybody tearing me down, because at the end of the day, I'm here to teach you the right way. That's why you have a nervous system, so you can feel. Feelize is what we say here in Carbon Nation. We say feelize. You do not see not one of us doing this. You have to feelize it. You have to come. You have to be in the jungle naked. Come with me. Spend time. I'll show you God. I will show you God. You don't know God. You think you know God. You don't know God. I will show you God. Me, I show you God. I take you to God. I take you to yourself. The most purest self you can be, I take you there. Most people, when they see themselves for who they truly are, they run the other way. Because most of you are genetically modified organisms. And you're not even supposed to be alive. A cancer cell in your body is not supposed to be alive. It's not supposed to be alive. but it's a living unit and it wants to survive. So most of you are cancer cells and you're not supposed to be alive on this organism. And so when I show you yourself, you go running. You can't be here. You don't know how to live in harmony with the organism that you are upon. Because you are a cell made up of many other cells, as I said before. You are genetically modified. Now, what are genes? Genes are information. Your program you running. The program you running has been modified. It's not organic. It's not divinity. It's not divine. The program you running on, the gene tells the cell its purpose and what it's supposed to do. So the gene is the information. The gene is a piece of DNA. That's piece of God. God is DNA. The gene is a piece of God. And this piece of God comes into a cell that's made up of other cells we call a protein. DNA one-on-one. Make it very simple. Deciphering the sciences. Here. The DNA is God. That's all that is and all that will be. You are a piece of DNA called a gene. You're an expression of DNA. You're a protein expressing a piece of God. Now, the more big the DNA or the more big the gene is, the greater capacity for light and the greater its purpose is. So the gene is the genetic blueprint code, astrological program. Study with me. The astrological program that gives the being its purpose. And most of you, and I've said this before, I've got this all on record. If you are the truth, you will find the truth. You will find me. Cancer are genes that have genetically modified information that won't allow them to understand that they are part of a host. They are part of an equilibrium. They are part of the all. So they move their actions, the genetic code. There's nothing without thought first. Your program that you're running on allows you to be a part of Babylon, and you are Babylon. Your genetic code, your mind has been programmed in a way that your DNA, that your genetics won't allow you to ever receive the kingdom of God. In Matthew 13, it clearly speaks about you will be ever hearing but never hear. You will be ever seeing but never see. Because your heart in you is the prophecy of Isaiah. You will never receive the kingdom because your heart has been hardened by God. Your program has already been programmed to be a cancer cell. And when you come to me and I show you yourself and you're deep in the jungle and you're naked and you're bathing in the waters and the pristine water and the blood of the earth, and you feel the disconnect of yourself to what is, you go running and do videos about me. Because you are the Antichrist and you are against everything that is righteous and true and pure. You do not want to be one with God. You just talking. That's all you do. Yeah. Just talk. Your actions don't show shit. You are the Antichrist. Talk. Watch them. You should know them by their fruit, not their root. You know the tree by the fruit. This is the meta nature. Jesus was talking to meta nature. He said you will not know a tree by the root. You will know it by its fruit that it bears. Look at the fruit that it bears. Look at what it does. Watch him. Watch them. Anybody that brings you a root, some information, you got to see the fruit they bear. Anybody that talks shit about Nature Boy, I want to tell me. Watch them. Watch them. If they talk shit about me, watch them. Look at the fruit that they bear. That's the only way you're going to know. You have to look at the fruit they bear. If you taken from me, if you say Nature Boy did this, what did you do? He did this, what did you do? If he's wrong, you must be right, right? If he's wrong, then you must be right, right? So if he's a devil, then you must be God. Because the God in you recognize the devil, right? So if God and you recognize the devil, then let me watch you. Let me ask you, how do we decipher the meta nature? Teach me what Nature Boy was teaching me. If you're going to take me away from the knowledge and wisdom by talking about the character and taking away from the message, then you bring a message that's more divine than what he's talking about. And then bear the fruit. I want to see you because you must be butt naked in the jungle, living native to the land, right? You have to be if this is simple mathematics, everybody that knows anything knows that you're supposed to be naked in the jungle, living native to the land, eating from the land, eating from the sun directly. In communication with the trees directly. This is the language of the universe. Do you hear it? That is the language of the universe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Sunlight touch. Convert into sound. Sound into movement. This is the language of the gods. They don't want me here. They can't stop me. If you see somebody talking about the meta nature and they ain't got no, they living in Babylon and they not butt naked in the jungle trying to get fucking Wi-Fi to even talk to you, be careful. You should not know them by their root, but by their fruit. Information and knowledge, everyone has that because this is the information age. With wisdom. Wisdom. Is the act of knowledge. Look for the action. One. Name me one. You see people butt naked in the jungle? They in communication with the nature. And they live there. They live there. They fighting on a bus to stay there because they were captured by the system. Whoa. Whoa. When you wake up, you're going to migrate. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want more sunlight. Yeah, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to want more sunlight. You're going to want more oxygen. You're going to have to power your melanin to even activate the ancient codes within you. You're going to want to be closer to the sun. You're going to be wanting closer to the jungle. You're going to want to drink pure water from the earth. You're going to want to get that blood directly from the earth to go inside your blood. The water, 70% of your blood, 80% of your blood is water. Plasma. Water. You are a water being. You need fresh, pristine water. Rain that falls out of the sky without chemtrail. You want to go take a bath in that. You want to wash your hair in it. You want to be at the river. You want to immerse your whole being in this water. Bring it out. Feel the recharge of your carbon. Feel it. You feel powerful. You feel energized. You feel like you just ate a meal when you go to the river where it's 4 elements. You have sunlight. You have water. You have land. You have oxygen. All by the water. 4 elements come together. Recharge your melanin. But you have to be between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. None of the waters in the store are fit for you, Queen or King. Jake Maya asks, what is the best water to obtain in the store? None of them. If your water is contained in a bottle, it is still It is no good for you. You need running water. You need rainwater, moving water. Everything in your body is moving. All things are in motion. Anytime you block water, that is against Ma'at law. Bottled water is against Ma'at law. You have to have running water. You must drink from the running water. It's a difference. When you drink from that, you talk to me about the meta nature. When you butt naked in the jungle, you talk to me about the meta nature and deciphering it. You have never even been in communication with God. You've been to some temple where you see little scratches on the wall and you're trying to decipher it, but you don't know nothing about those scratches on the wall until you butt naked in the jungle, locks down your back. Don't touch your hair no more. You know nothing about the meta nature. Period. You don't know the language of God until you become one with nature. Your body is a computer. It's a computer. The people that live native to the land are no longer native to the land because they're taking on Babylon's way now. Even the people here, the natives here, are starting to become Babylon because this cancer is seeking here. And so the people are coming out of the bush and into the city. Oh, but the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. Huh? When I say meek and humble, I'm not talking about to Babylon. Babylon gets your warrior. In the Bible, Jesus cursed Babylon the fuck out for a whole chapter. I'm going to read it to you. Jesus said, woe unto you. Fuck. Now, back in the day, woe was like fuck. Fuck all y'all. It was worse than fuck because woe means disparity and distress upon you. Jesus cursed through the whole Bible and cursed and gave his warrior and disrespected these people at their own table. It's a side of Jesus they ain't tell you about. Jesus said, woe unto you. Woe means great disparity and suffering, pain. Back then they didn't have the word fuck, but if they did, he'd have been like, woe unto you. All y'all, all you going to hell, all of you, fuck all of y'all. This is what he said at the table eating with these people. He said, fuck all of y'all niggas in here. Y'all all going to hell. Disparity to all of y'all, all of your kids, everybody in here, fuck all. This is why they wanted to kill, and that's why they killed you, because Jesus was a motherfucking, he was not humble to that system. That system got his warrior. Fuck you. Fuck y'all. The lawyers, the doctors, all of them. He said, fuck all y'all. Jesus was like, I'm the king of this earth. Oh, this is your king? To that system, he was nothing. To God, he was everything because he was one with what is. You couldn't kill Jesus. Jesus is a spirit that lives in all of us once we get to that frequency, the Christ. Jesus was just a human example of the Christ, and it lives in us. And the more you become conscious, the more you become Jesus. Jesus never existed. Shit. I'm talking to him. Don't let these people mislead you, Christ conscious. Christ conscious. Use your Bible. Don't let them take the Bible from you. And I told you to use the Bible at the Gospels, from Matthew to John. You could use some Proverbs, some maybe, some Psalms. But let me tell you something. Go get your Bible. Bible Gateway, baby. Bible Gateway, baby. Yeah. Bible Gateway. Read upon Jesus with an open mind and see if you don't see Jesus relevant to this day. See if you... You're talking to Jesus. You're talking to the Christ. You're talking to the Meta Nature. Reflection shit this video. Because I don't care. If people don't like me, they done tore me down. I'm dead anyway to them. I'm dead to that world. But God so loveth the world. The universe so loveth the world. He gave his only begotten S-U-N. Son. And who shall ever be alive. Ooh, did I say believe? Be alive, be alive in it. Shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And you never forget that. For God so loved the world, it gave its only begotten Son. And who shall ever be alive in it shall not perish, but have everlasting life, because you are the Son. You are the Son. Connect to what you are, so you can have eternal life. No one can kill energy, because energy can only transform from one form to another. So don't you fear death. That's king shit. That's God, and God is mind. That's the Christ conscious. Can't kill me. I love my self-reflection. Peace. Share the video. It's going on YouTube too, Melanation TV.